You're listening to the Sisters in Loss podcast, a faith-based grief and loss podcast for Black women, where you will hear stories of miscarriage, infant loss, stillbirth, and infertility to learn there is a testimony in tragedy. You will learn how to heal, gain clarity, find hope and peace, and turn your pain into your purpose after loss. I'm your host, Erica M. McAfee. Welcome, ladies, to the Sisters in Loss podcast. I'm excited to have all of you here. I would like for each of you to share a little bit about yourself and what you do. And I'll start with you, Janell.
Sure. So my name is Janell Jones. I am a certified life coach. I'm an author. I'm a business owner. So I own my own publishing company called Melanin Grace Publishing. And I am a speaker and I'm also a licensed therapist.
Awesome. All right. Dartesha, you're next.
Hi, my name is Dartesha. I've been an educator for the past 16 years. I'm mostly dealing with high school students and exceptional ed students. I am an author, I am a speaker, and a mom of two.
Awesome. Dadriaunna, you're up.
Hi, I am a wife, a mother of one angel son, and I'm also an author and a speaker. And I just really seek to help mothers who feel forgotten and shameful kind of turn around that shame and find power in their story.
Awesome. And last but not least, Ashley, definitely introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ashley Pittman. I am a speaker, an author. I own my own publishing company called DSIS Publishing. And I also have 3 boys, and I'm an angel mom of 2 beautiful babies.
So, Ashley, I would love for you to share with the listeners the collaboration project that you all have. What was the inspiration behind it, and what you hope readers gain from the book?
Absolutely, yes. The collaboration project, Don't Struggle in Silence, I Am a Victor, came about after I published my first book, I Can Breathe Again. And I really wanted to be able to inspire other women so they would know that they was not alone if they endure such experience, because it's really hard. And a lot of times when you endure a loss, you can feel lonely, you can feel alone, you can feel like nobody understands. And it was put heavy on my spirit to get a group of women together to put our stories in one book and be able to reach multiple women at one time. And that's kind of what brought the inspiration for this particular project. So yeah, that was that's why I gathered the women that I gathered, and they put their story in this book. And I really feel like it's really going to be life-changing for a lot of women.
What about the stories of these ladies that stood out to you to add them to this collaborative project?
It's different situations, different stories. And one story, which you'll hear more about, and one of the moms lost a set of twins, or was pregnant with twins and lost one of the twins. That touched me because I'm a mom of twins. And so it resonated with me. And the other moms that their stories were also unique but different. And we're talking about some have infertility or a miscarriage or a late term pregnancy loss. So it's kind of different situations. So I really feel like the different stories can capture the attention of women that has similar experiences, because they're not all the same.
Yeah, so I would love to hear each of your stories, starting with you, Ashley. Share with us your lost story and your journey to motherhood.
Absolutely. So I was pregnant with a set of twins, a boy and a girl, and I went to preterm labor at 7 months pregnant. And it was shortly after they were born, they passed away. And 8 months later, I got pregnant again and had another miscarriage. But that miscarriage was I was probably between 8 to 10 weeks pregnant. And then I tried again, and I had a successful pregnancy with my oldest son. But with that, it was a high risk pregnancy. It was very complicated with him. And then after my second son, I had 2 more miscarriages. So I've had a journey of loss until I can't believe it. And it's been hard, but with support and being able to talk to other women that can relate has been very helpful in my healing journey.
Yes, absolutely. So I would love to hear your story, Janell. Share with us your journey to motherhood and your loss story.
My journey was, I was a teenage mom. So I got pregnant when I was 16, had my first child when I was 17. And then my boyfriend and I, he ended up being my husband later, got pregnant again. We were kind of like trying to determine what to do because our oldest son was approaching, I believe, 4 years old at the time. And so we got pregnant again. And our situation was very interesting because it wasn't an infertility issue. It was more a domestic violence issue. So we grew up in very broken homes and we brought that into our marriage. And it wasn't just him being physically abusive. I was too. So we would often fight. And my story was I got pregnant and it led to, or I was pregnant, I was 12 weeks pregnant and it led to a domestic violence situation and I ended up losing the baby as a result.
Wow. Wow. Can you share more about that?
Yeah.
And how you went through your healing journey? Because we really haven't talked about domestic violence losses on the podcast before. So I would love for you to share a little bit more.
Yes. So in that instance, when I went through a traumatic event, as far as a miscarriage goes, I was told one thing from one doctor and it wasn't true. So I went through this whole thing while I was at work, and I worked for a hospital at that time, but it was just a whole debacle with, did the baby actually pass or did it not pass? We were really young and we ended up, staying together, and we ended up getting pregnant again. I think after I had that baby, or I had that miscarriage in like December, and I ended up getting pregnant again in March, and had a baby right after that. But the experience was very numb. He didn't know how to respond to it because he felt, it was all his fault. But it still was things that were kind of happening in that moment where I felt very unsupported. We were, in a infidelity, type marriage, and that was still going on while I was at the hospital. And then at the end of it, I think it was a remorseful thing where we decided that, both of us was wrong, because really I instigated the issue with the physical contact. I felt like, was it my fault? Or I questioned, was it my fault, that this happened, because I was the one who initiated the domestic violence, or, did it really call for what led up to it, for what he did? Did it really call for that, and who was to blame? And going back and forth with that, like, okay, how can I accept this? Who was to blame for this child being lost? And I was like, I was 3 months pregnant. So I ended up actually going into labor and I didn't know it. So it was just like a whole physical thing and trying to figure out how to move forward in healing with that. I think because we were so young and didn't understand the healing process, we kind of hurry up and got pregnant again. But we still continue with the fighting. Does that make sense? Like, none of that ceased because we didn't deal with the issue. We wasn't dealing with our real problems. We were just trying to cover it up. And so I had 2 more kids with him after that. I ended up getting married and then having 2 more kids after that. And then my question was, why did I even do that? Because we were not in a great place in the beginning.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I would love, and I'm sure there's more that is detailed in the book, or they can definitely follow you to get more information for the listeners who have ever been in a situation like that. And it's harder to get out, and you kind of get stuck in it until you see the light and you're like, okay, well, this is a situation I don't need to be in anymore, because it's not healthy for my mental health and obvious physical health, emotional health, pretty much your holistic self. Mm-hmm. So I am excited to read the book to learn more about your story. I would love to hear Dartesha's story. If you could share a little bit about your story, your lost journey and journey to motherhood.
Well, my story actually started in my late 20s when I actively started to pursue starting a family. So it was then I was diagnosed with unexplained infertility. So that, for me, that was a shocker, because I was in my 20s. I'd never known anyone who dealt with infertility. So there was a certain level of shame that went with that because it wasn't talked about, so I'm just thinking I'm broken. Something's wrong with me. I can't tell anybody else because, they're not broken. I'm broken. So going to the doctor to, get more in depth about what was going on, come to find out I was pregnant. So I was, of course, happy and joyful about that. And then when I went for the sonogram, it was a tubal pregnancy or ectopic pregnancy. So I was, of course, devastated. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go home. I'll have time to get myself together and, kind of have time to process. But they were like, no, we have to take care of this right now. So I had time to do nothing but call my mom through tears. My mom, because of course the whole family was excited. And then to have to tell them, well, I have to terminate, the pregnancy has to be terminated because, it's an ectopic pregnancy. So probably about 3 years later, I became pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. I went into labor at 25 weeks. And my girl did fine. However, I lost my son, which was very traumatic because I felt like not that both babies will replace the baby I lost, but I did feel like, okay, well, I'm receiving double for my trouble from the struggles that I had in the beginning. And so to lose one was just very, very disheartening. So after that, I became pregnant again, and I had a miscarriage. I didn't know I was pregnant, but I had a miscarriage. And shortly after the miscarriage, maybe about a year after, I became pregnant with my youngest daughter, who is just fine. So for me, coming out of that, at first I did not want to talk about it because mostly I'm pretty much a private person, and I just didn't want to have all my business out there and everybody looking at me like, oh, she had these problems, she had this issue, she couldn't get pregnant or whatever. But then I think what happened was when I was going through my depression and I was looking for resources to help me or a book that would help me, I couldn't find one. So when Ashley put out the call, that was one of the things that I thought about in order to help other women by telling my story.
Yes, it is. There's a quote that, oh my gosh, I can't think of who actually says it off the top of my head now, but there's a quote that is out there that if you do not have a book that is out there that you would like to read, that you're looking for, that you should go write it. And essentially that is what you all have done in this project. So I would love to hear the last story. Dadriaunna, please share with us your lost story and your journey to motherhood.
Thank you so much, Erica. So my lost story actually began in April of last year. I had just gotten engaged. I was moving into a dream home in Atlanta, Georgia at like 27 years old. So I just was like really, really excited because I just kind of felt like, wow, like, all the things that a young girl dreams of are like falling into place. And I remember I had a mentee who said to me, she was like, yo, girl, like, you're really making it. Like, you're doing this. She was like, you've gotten like everything you've prayed for and things are working out so beautifully. Like, you're so lucky. Like, people don't get to see all these things manifested so early on. So, the loss piece came in really quickly, very rapidly. I was actually doing an Instagram live Bible study, and I consider myself to be very devoted to my relationship with Christ. And I went into preterm labor out of nowhere. And this being my first pregnancy, I didn't know that I was going into preterm labor. I, like most young millennials, just kind of assume this idea of like, first come marriage, then comes a baby and the baby carriage. Like, I had no knowledge of what my body was actually capable of doing or what I should be in tune to. And so fast forward, we get to the hospital and there are complications. They let us know that I'm actually dilating. And this is the piece where it's like really mind boggling. The hospital that I had been attending actually did not even have like a labor and delivery or NICU center even set up yet. They were still in process of building it. And this is not something that they had shared with us. I just assumed that, if you're taking patients, that you'll also be able to service them. Fast forward, I went and got transferred to another hospital after my husband and I had to actually advocate for ourselves, which was extremely traumatic in itself. And I just particularly remember like holding on to like faith and hope as if it was like a tangible item, reciting scriptures. I didn't grow up in church. I just want to be really clear about that. I came to God like in my own right and in my own relationship, but I felt his presence in the room with me. And things went okay for the first 24 hours after I had a cerclage, and then things didn't go okay when the next morning I was told that my son's heartbeat stopped. And it was as if when my son's heartbeat stopped, so did my faith and my own heartbeat. And so it was really trying for me. It's actually similar to some of the other stories in that, I didn't really know anyone else who had experienced loss. And I'm a pretty outgoing person and I'm very social and I love sharing, just who I am with other people. And so naturally, I found during my grief journey that what was really helpful for me was just telling people how I felt, even if it didn't, make them feel good. I needed to let people know how I felt. I just needed to kind of let that out for myself. And the biggest thing that my loss brought me was a greater relationship with God once I was able to just be real with him and tell him how upset I was with him, how disappointed I was with him. But it allowed me to have a deeper relationship with God, a deeper relationship with myself, and even more importantly, for me to actually be take more ownership over my body and the power that my body holds. And so like now I totally think very differently about, reproductive rights. I think very differently about, what my body produces beyond just children. And so I actively use my story to share with other people and share with myself daily, multiple times a day, that, I am created to create. And that doesn't just mean what comes through my womb.
Yes, I would love for you all to share individually what this collaboration and this book means to you. Obviously, we didn't even share the title of the book and where we can find it. And I'm sure you can share a little bit more about that, Ashley. But what does this collaboration mean to you all coming together as Black women, really, to really share your stories in this way?
Absolutely. For me, it means faith, strength. It means everything. It means everything. It means so much. And I say faith being the biggest one because at first the book is called Don't Struggle in Silence. I Am a Victor. And it can be found on Amazon May 20th and after. But faith, this book, this collaboration has really helped strengthen my own faith. It also helped my strengthen my healing journey. And, when you're about to do something big or something so purposeful, sometimes you get extra challenges. I'm literally, I have a 1-year-old now, and I'm literally waiting to hear back if my son has cancer or not. And this book, this collaboration, these women, I have held on so closely and tightly to because they have helped me personally in so many ways. So this collaboration is more than a book. It's more, it's support, it's a relationship, it's so much that it has brought so much and so much out in all of us that I would have never imagined. Just putting a group of women together to share our story.
Yes, that is. I'm so sorry about what's going on with your son, but we're going to continue to keep him and you and all of you all lifted in prayers as you go through this next season, this transition, since you all are authors now. I would love for you all to share where, in light of what's going on. We're recording this in May. This video or this podcast episode will go live in June, and we'll still be in the midst of what's going on with the coronavirus and COVID-19. A lot of women in this community, their fertility treatments have been put on hold. They are scared to get pregnant. The women who are pregnant don't know what pregnancy looks like in this COVID-19 and coronavirus lens. So I would love for you all to just share with our listeners just some encouraging words during this time of uncertainty. I know that you all are women of faith, and that has carried you all to where you are today. So definitely lift us up with some encouraging words. And I'll start with you, Janell.
Yes. So for me, during this Corona time, I know that there's a lot of anxiety that is raising through the roof, fear, the uncertainty. All of that is a struggle, especially now if you're unable to get infertility treatments or the pregnancy, even the way that pregnant women are having to deal with going to the doctors and going to the hospital. And even some pregnant women having to go to these hospitals who are not even equipped, like you were saying, to handle women. I just say, continue to keep your faith. Make sure that you're operating in wisdom and you're not operating out of fear. A lot of times when we operate out of fear, we begin to make poor decisions that looks great now, but ultimately they affect us or impact us in the long run. Continue to be grateful, continue to use gratitude, and then find ways that you can help someone else. I think that's a great way to get out of your own space, to get out of your own mind sometimes, is to really help someone else. And it doesn't have to be particularly with a child. It could be helping an elderly person or helping someone serve food or passing out toilet paper to people who are in need, because sometimes that helps when we take the focus off of us, just to help us see a brighter side, and then remain in gratitude throughout this journey.
Thank you for that. I would love to hear from Dadriaunna. Definitely share with us some encouraging words during this time of uncertainty.
I would most certainly say during this time of uncertainty, it's really important that we try to grasp on to all of those little moments that we have around us. And what that looks like is finding, like Janell mentioned, finding those opportunities to just be grateful for the space or the breath that you hold. I would also highly encourage, moms in waiting or moms who are currently pregnant or trying to also find new ways of meditating and visualizing and planning out what life after this looks like. Because one thing that I know for certain are that angel moms have a strength and a resilience about them that is incomparable. And so this is something where we don't just say this too shall pass. We have lived through what that looks like. And so this situation is no different. And although it seems uncertain, there was a moment in our lost stories where things seemed uncertain and we got through those courageously. So I just call ourselves to remind ourselves of who we are, what we've gone through, what we've experienced, and the strength that we've seen on the other side, and to carry that through with hope for what is going to be on the other side of this pandemic.
What would you love to add, Dartesha?
The first thing would be just to hang in there. We know it's hard, but just hang in there and hold on to your faith, whatever it may be. The second thing would be to, find your happy place or create a happy place if you don't have one. Right now, Amazon Prime is my happy place. It might not do much for my pockets, but it's my happy place. So that would be, whatever you like to do, whatever to keep your mind busy, whatever keeps your hands busy, whatever keeps you occupied and keeps you centered, go for it. And then just take time for self. Take time to meditate. Take time to, if you have to light candles and put bubbles in the tub and just relax, do whatever you have to do to feel more positive or create, more positive energy around you.
Yes. And Ashley, same question to you. What encouraging words would you leave with the listeners during this time of uncertainty?
I just have to reiterate what all these lovely ladies just said. Gratitude, just being grateful for the small things, just being able to get up to your family or just get up and take a breath, just being able to open your eyes, just being grateful for even the smallest thing. And like the other lady said, to take the focus off of us and help somebody else that's in need. I mean, because really, I have really found with myself now that helping other people, reaching out to other people has really helped me stay grounded and not so anxious as it started out to be when it first started. And prayer. Prayer. If you're a praying person, a praying woman, praying, anything, prayer is powerful. And just being patient and holding on, like Dartesha stated, just hold on.
Yes. So Ashley, I would love for you to drop the name of the book, where we can find you and on your social media, and where we can purchase the book online.
Absolutely. The book is called Don't Struggle in Silence, I Am a Victor, and it will be available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble's May 20th and after. And you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Ashley K. Pittman, or on my website, www.ashleykpittman.com.
Same thing, Janell. I would love for you to drop your social handles as well.
Yeah, so on Facebook and Instagram, you can find me under Janell Jones Empowers, as well as my website is janelljonesempowers.com.
Good. Dartesha, your same thing. Where can we find you after this episode?
You can find me on Facebook at Dartesha Davis.
Awesome. And Deandria, you can definitely share your social with everyone as well.
Thank you so much, Erica. So you can actually find me on Instagram at DAE_Hayes, HAYES, or Beauty for Ashes _con. Both of those accounts, if you want to just reach out to me more personally, I have that personal account, and then a special community for my angel sisters.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your story on the podcast. And you all are authors now, so definitely go out and support these women. Follow them on social media. And we're excited. Anytime you all want to come back and share your stories on the podcast, you are all more than welcome to do so. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. For show notes and more information on today's guest, go to sistersinloss.com. If you have not joined our online community, go to sistersinloss.com, as well as sign up for our newsletter. We want you to be a part of the community so you can know all of the events that we have planned on as Sisters in Loss. Go to sistersinloss.com, sign up for our newsletter, join our online community, and stay connected with us. Talk to you soon.